This is the type of matchup where Sultai can make the matchup very punishing on Elves if they want to, but they have to be bringing the heat. Just a couple spot removal spells is not going to be good enough to have a positive matchup here, but you know, you have Jitte, you have access to Toxic Deluge if you want it. There's ways to make the matchup very punishing for Elves.
Well, there's a Delver Secrets. Here's a third Deathrite Shaman. So Jim's got a bunch of Knuckleheads in play. Grafdigger's Cage is one of his best cards in sideboard. You see Abrupt Decay in his hand along with 2 copies of Tarmogoyf, but not a lot else going on at this point. Does have an answer for Scavenging Ooze, but other than that, not too exciting.
And Jim's in this weird spot where he kind of can't fire off his removal spell because then the shields are down and Riley doesn't play around anything. But if he just sits here and waits, Riley continues to do something with his variety of utility creatures.
Scavenging Ooze would like to untap and block if possible. It will, so Jim will lose his creature. Pass the turn back. And now Ooze gets the Ether creature, so perhaps maybe a misstep there from Davis.
I don't know, in spots like this where you're kind of done for, which is kind of how it looks from Jim's side of the table, I like just doing things like that to see if my opponent knows the interactions.
Make him see it.
Yep.
Here comes the Ooze. Abrupt Decay is going to take care of the Delver Secrets. Not going to let that thing flip into a 3/2 flyer and get to work.
Public Enemy #1 for Elves is certainly that card since can't block a flyer.
Yeah. Ooze will grow a little bit larger. There's a Pendlehaven. Rather, quite a few cards in his hand. He'll just pass the turn back over to Davis. Davis is going to draw another Tarmogoyf. He'll deploy it. We'll see how big it is here in just a moment. And Ooze going to remove a Spell Pierce. Currently a 2/3. Potential, of course, to get so much bigger.
Ooze is so strong against these Sultai decks because the opportunity cost to play very low, and there's just games like this where as long as it's in play, it's very hard for Jim to utilize much of his creatures at all.
Yeah, it'll just run wild in the game. Not a lot you can do about it. A little bit of mana, another Elvish Visionary, draw a card. Now there's a Bayou. Granted, player has been playing Elves for a really, really long time, has won an Open Series event with it. So he knows all the interactions of this deck, and there are quite a few. Here comes Scavenging Ooze.
Riley still has to respect the possibility of a sweeper here.
Oh, so, for sure.
Even though he's got a commanding advantage here, he's not going to be sloppy. Still take his time thinking about how he wants to go about his business here.
Yeah, probably like Toxic Deluge is something you have to be worried about.
Especially in conjunction with Tarmogoyf. I mean, that's a way to catch up very quickly from Jim's side of the table.
And we can see Jim's hand, Wasteland, 2 Tarmogoyfs and Abrupt Decay, so we know he doesn't have that, but Riley does have to tread a little bit carefully because that's one of the few ways he can lose this game.
Yep. Jim with 2 copies of Marsh Casualties in his sideboard.
Sure. This is a sideboarded game.
Still a tough spot here for Jim. He needs to keep up some pretense of having interaction that matters, though. His hand doesn't offer much. He does have an Abrupt Decay to get the Scavenging Ooze off the table. But at that point, Riley gets to go wild with Symbiote plus Elvish Visionary. So really tough set of circumstances here for Jim.
There's Wasteland. Here's Tarmogoyf. And now just a passing of the turn. What's very easy for Elves to do, however, is to just gum up the ground so you can never make a good attack.
Yep.
It's almost its specialty, honestly. Ooze is going to remove some cards from the graveyards here. Curran will draw. Whole boatload of cards in his hand. The only thing he doesn't really have at this point is a Cradle. Might be the only thing that's missing from what's otherwise a very good draw. Who's the boss? Coming on in.
And now Jim's in this horrible bind of having to chump block, but then there's being more food for the ooze.
Deathrite Shaman. Looks like it's going to get in the way. There will be an activation of the Shaman. And Curran can stop it from happening if he'd like with a single green mana. And it looks like he will. So Deathrite Shaman bites the dust. It's kind of easy to forget how good Scavenging Ooze is in Legacy.
Yep. Just has these moments of, you know, again, Scavenging Ooze has it at its worst is still not the end of the world. And there's so many matchups like this where if it goes unchecked, it's very hard for the other person to play Magic.
Yeah. Current Ranger activation will untap the Dryad Arbor, allow Riley to pick up the Bayou. He replays the Bayou, so that'll be his land for the turn. Discard a couple of cards. Just simply pass the turn back over to Davis. Davis will draw Tropical Island.
I mean, this does allow Jim to Abrupt Decay the Ooze and play Tarmogoyf, which is at least sort of a starting point.
Yeah? Four or five Tarmogoyf now. Two of them, in fact.
That happened fast.
Yeah. Don't take much. Davis going to deploy another Tarmogoyf. See if he wants to make any attacks here, though. Looks like he's just content. Making no attacks. There's no real good ones there, given the Queered Rangers and the Wirewood Symbiotes that are in play. Curran does just pick up an Elvish Visionary at the end of turn, so he can recast it here and get deeper into his deck. Scavenging is going to come down. Curran with a couple Queered Ranger activations. Discard a card, just pass the turn back. See what Jim's able to pick up this turn. It's a Delver Secrets.
And now again, Jim back in the same spot where his graveyard's just of no help to him.
Yep.
And the use is going to get very large very quickly. I mean, Riley even has Glimpse plus stuff in his hand. But that's
He's not doing any of it.
That's his backup plan in case something goes wrong.
Yeah. He's not doing any of those things at this point. Tarmogoyf may have shrunk a little bit in that exchange. You can see Jim's going to change in size down to a 2-3. Here comes the ooze.
Jim not ready to chump block just yet. He's going to have to start doing that next turn if he doesn't find an answer for the ooze.
Visionary, draw a card. Edel Sentinel. Verdant Catacombs. And there's even leftover Visionaries in hands,
Yeah.
too.
Riley's hand is capable of probably killing this turn if he went for it. But there's just no rush.
Yeah, I mean, he's a 23. He's got a built-up board. As you mentioned, there is no reason to really deploy anything else. Curran going to sacrifice his Verdant Catacombs. Go get himself a basic forest. A lot of moving parts here. It looks like Scavenging is going to remove some stuff from the graveyard.
Yeah, this is just get the Tarmogoyfs down as low as possible and make sure Deathrite Shaman has no food.
Yep. So that the other creatures can attack profitably. There goes the ooze. Tarmogoyf on chump blocking duty now. Don't see that happen all that much. Visionary, draw a card. Hey, a Cradle.
And Riley's still not even going to show it, not going to run into the Wasteland that's in play.
Yep. Death by Chop and activation. No, sir. Ooze will remove that Tarmogoyf, so Jim can't gain any life. There's a Brainstorm. That'll flip the Delver into an Insectile Aberration. That'll be Davis's draw for the turn. You can see he's going to cast that right away, looking for some help. 2 Force of Wills and a Stifle. Not what we were looking for.
Well, yeah, at this point, Jim's got to try to answer the board.
Yeah.
And Riley with such a high life total to work with here. These Delver hits do not matter for much.
Jim, the king of the shoulder shrug.
Yep. Loves a good shrug.
Yeah. Behemoth then be countered by Force of Will. Everybody, red zone, and yep, that's going to do it just fine. Riley Curran's going to tie things up here against Jim Davis. Elves and Sultai Delver are going to go to a 3rd game, which means we're going to take a look at some sideboards here very quickly. And we will start with Davis since he's on the play.
A Maelstrom Pulse, an Abrupt Decay, 2 copies of Thoughtseize, a Grafdigger's Cage, a 4th copy of Force of Will, 3 in the main deck, a Flusterstorm, a Vendilion Click, 2 Diverts, a Pithy Needle, a Surgical Extraction, 2 copies of Marsh Casualties, and a Murderous Cut. Big things to stand out to me here are the 2 copies of Marsh Casualties. Once you get past that, I really like the additional creature removal, the Maelstrom Pulse, the Abrupt Decay, the Murderous Cut. The Grafdigger's Cage is solid in this matchup, even though we saw Riley be able to work around it that game. I like the 1 copy of Vendilion Click. Good disruption, and Flyers are a premium against Elves. As you saw there, very easy for Riley to lock up the ground if the board builds up.
Other side of things, we've got 4 Cabal Therapies, 2 Thoughtseize, 4 Abrupt Decay, a Sylvan Library, a Scavenging Ooze, a Null Rod, a Meek Stone, and Umazawa's Jite. We already know that the old Scavenging Ooze is in the deck, which makes a lot of sense. Abrupt Decay, I wouldn't be surprised to see in there. I don't think the discard's necessary, and I could see Umazawa's Jite in situations where it can be quite good in this matchup.
I think Jite is okay. I think Sylvan Library is okay. I think the 4 copies of Abrupt Decay and the additional Scavenging Ooze, that's what really stands out to me.
Well, those are definitely good options. Both players going to go back to the drawing board a little bit here. Jim looking at those diverts that we saw him use earlier to great effect against Peter Tragos in our round 3 feature match.
Oh, yeah. Good against Abrupt Decay, good against Torak. Pretty good against Thoughtseize.
Yeah.
It's a card, you know, you can only play so many copies, and you probably can't play it main deck, but we might be seeing more of it soon.
Well, the Open Series is going to be on hiatus next weekend, but we will talk about the reason why, which is regionals. 14 fantastic locations available.
Yeah, I mean, we are just a short week away from this, and you can see all of the venues here, so you can find the one closest to you. You can head over to starcitygames.com/regionals to get more information about this event. Open Series points, cash prizes, a lot at stake here. Also, at every regional stop, the first 200 people to register will receive our free playmat.
The squirrels are all together from last year's Creature Collection series, so this is really one of the last chances you guys can get some squirrel-related gear. Squirrel Confidant, Acorn Mystic, Force of Squirrel, and Squirrel Storm, all on one exclusive playmat, free and available to the first 200 players that do go to regionals. StarCityGames.com/regionals for more information. Plant your flag February 7th. Oddly enough, next weekend. It's almost here.
Happened very, very quickly. I mean, before you know it, we'll be talking about spring states.
I know.
Right around the corner.
It's terrifying.
Just humming along.
It's fun, but it's terrifying at the same time to see time go this fast. But I've enjoyed it.
You live a life full of purpose. The time flies. Every week is about something.
That's true.
Either a show or you don't have a show, and the weekend matters a lot to you because you don't have a show.
That's true. I get to do nothing, get to kick back, relax, watch some basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Which I will be doing next weekend if I do not attend regionals, along with movies.
Play some basketball, another option.
Not ever going to happen. That's ridiculous. Why would I do that?
Because it's super fun.
Debatable on the fun level. See, it's not super fun when you can't shoot.
Sure.
And see, you're good at shooting, so it's probably a lot of fun for you. Also, you're good at trash talk.
Oh, I am chatty out there.
So it's probably,
yeah.
I can't trash talk because I'm not, well, okay, I can trash talk.
Anyone can trash talk.
Yeah, but it's not good to trash talk if you suck.
You know, again, I just don't think that there's really a relationship between the two things.
Oh, okay.
You can be awesome and keep your mouth shut, or you can be pretty bad and just talk the whole time.
Those are avenues that are available.
Yeah.
Just not really too interested in exploring those.
People make that mistake that you have to be good to talk trash, and I just don't think that's true. I just never bought into that philosophy.
You can just do it.
You can just run your mouth.
And just agitate someone.
Exactly.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm going to keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. I like that. Who even cares if you're good?
Exactly.
Maybe play a pickup game at the local gym now.
Yeah.
And probably engage in a fight due to my trash talking.
Here's the thing. It's just like anything else in life when you're trying to get good at something. Focus on doing one thing well. Same with Magic. When you first start to play tournament Magic, what's the best thing you can do? Try to focus on mastering one deck and then slowly expand. Sports, any other competitive endeavor, same deal.
Should I be trash talking while I'm focusing on getting good with that one deck?
Well, you can focus on being good at trash talking.
That's okay. Gotcha.
That's the thing you can do.
Okay. Gotcha.
There you go.
A Delver's Secrets here for Jim. He'll take a look at the top card. It is flipping thanks to Abrupt Decay. Riley with a Green Sun Zenith for Dryad Arbor. Though Jim does have a Disfigure at the ready. The question is, does he have another land?
Jim's hand is here on Disruption Overload. 2 copies of Abrupt Decay, a Spell Pierce, a Craft Digger's Cage.
So he's got a good hand.
Yes. He's going to be able to, if he wants to deploy Cage plus Disfigure this turn, and then back it all up with Abrupt Decay. Now, the issue with Jim's hand here, if Riley goes untap, Abrupt Decay, your Insectile Aberration, Jim does not have a lot going on. Yeah. He has no backup pressure. But if Riley's without a removal spell, Riley's not going to have a lot of time, and he's going to have to slog through a lot of removal.
Well, there's Disfigure. See you later, Dryad Arbor. And now there's the Cage. Pass the turn back over to Curran. Curran will draw a Green Sun Zenith.
Perfect.
Just how we drew it up.
Perfect draw.
Riley will sacrifice a Verdant Catacombs. He'll get a Bayou. But from taking a look at his hand, doesn't look like there's a copy of Abrupt Decay there just yet. That is, of course, assuming that he has him in the deck for Game 3. Hellish Visionary is not bad, though. This is going to card deeper.
And it's pretty solid against the removal spells.
Davis will untap and draw. Brainstorm is what he's found. He's coming in the red zone for 3. Curran down to 13. And now it's a Brainstorm. So 3 cards coming. Couple Wastelands among them, not bad. Jim will be Brainstorm locked here.
Well, the Wasteland's pretty nice in this spot. He still has Spell Pierce, which will keep Riley off of most of his dangerous action. He's got Abrupt Decay backup in case Riley adds other permanents to the board. He gets to cut Riley off of black mana, so Abrupt Decay is at least off the table for the time being. So yes, he's Brainstorm locked, and that was not a great Brainstorm, but given the circumstances, not the end of the world.
Attack for 1 with the Visionary. That's how Curran starts his turn. Now it's the old Meekstone. Jim's gonna take a little look-ski-poo.
Another in the long line of alpha designs of you don't get to play Magic.
It's a lengthy list, isn't it?
Yes. Stasis, Winter Orb. It's symmetrical, but not really. Yeah. There's a lot of that going on in alpha.
Well, Spell Pierce is going to take care of that from Davis. Doesn't want to have that in play. Wants to be able to keep beating down with this Insectile Aberration, which he's able to do. And now there's Wasteland to take care of the Dryad Arbor. Abrupt Decay at the ready. Curran is going to draw. Umazawa's Cheetah is what he's found. Here's an attack for 1. The question is, does he have another land to play? It doesn't look like the answer is yes. Looks like the answer is just a Nettle Sentinel and a passing of the turn. Davis with an Abrupt Decay and a Tropical Island in hand. See how he wants to use this removal spell. He's going to take care of the Nettle Sentinel. A little dangerous.
Pretty aggressive line of play here. And if Riley draws a land here with the Jite in hand, maybe he has a shot. Although I believe Jim knew that he was sandbagging an Abrupt Decay on top of his deck, so had some insurance.
Deathrite Shaman going to come in. Deathrite Shaman doesn't get to stay in. Bye-bye. Davis will draw. Daze is the draw.
Oh, And that might do it. I mean,
Yep.
it looked like a land here from Riley might allow him to get to Jite in time, but.
And he drew a copy of Cradle, too. That's what I was thinking, is if he was able to top deck a land, he would be able to get to Jite, but that Daze, that's the nail in the coffin. Assuming Jim is going to cast the Daze, which he...
Well, it's an issue if he wants to pick up a land or not.
Sure. And he is. He'll hard cast it. There goes the Jite. And that is going to do it. Jim Davis is going to win this match here over Riley Curran. 2-1. Sultai Devil takes care of Elves, and for Davis, in what is a very important tournament for him in the Season 1 race, he's 8-1 going into day 2.
Very important. We don't know exactly what happened with Joe Lissette just yet. He was X2-1 going in the round, so at risk of missing day 2 altogether.